Let's get more now on the search for the missing Malaysian Airlines flight MH370. Joining me now is David Meehan, who's a deep-sea wreck hunter and director at Blue Water Recoveries. David, I hope I got your surname right there. I'm sure you'll correct me if I didn't, but it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us nonetheless. It's pretty incredible that this search is resuming after all this time, isn't it?
Yes, I'm sure the families are delighted. They've been lobbying this for years. And so this is a very positive step that the search is being resumed, because without searching, the plane will never be found.
Yeah, just remind people what happened then, because it really did just disappear, didn't it?
Well, it did and it didn't. There are traces of it, electronic traces. That's where the search is based on. But yes, in terms of the fact that we have no real idea what caused the plane to crash and why all these people had died, that's a 10-year mystery that needs to be solved.
Yeah, look, I appreciate some bits and pieces of it washed up, I think, in Madagascar a few years back, but that really is all people have had to go on thus far. So are you surprised then that the search, a new search, has been sanctioned by the Malaysian government, which suggests something else has been found or is known about?
Well, I mean, for years they've been campaigning. The last search was in 2018. And each year that went by, the families were disappointed that there was no movement. So this is definitely a positive development. There seems to be new political will to get to the bottom of this. What is a little bit concerning is that the area that they're searching is relatively small. It's only 15,000 square kilometers, where previously 240,000 square kilometers of seabed have been searched. 120,000 square kilometers of those by the same company that's going back out to resume the search, Ocean Infinity. And they've clearly got the best technology to find the plane, so we can be hopeful of that. But it is a curious thing that it's a relatively small search area that they're commissioning now. And personally, I'd like them to almost have a multi-year commitment to this, not just a small limited search, but something that's a political commitment that we'll get to the bottom of this no matter how long it takes.
When you say they've got the best technology for searching, what do you mean? How do they do this search? How can it be different from last time as well?
Well, in years past, we searched using sonar, various types of sonar, mainly side scan and multi-beam sonar. And you can deploy it two ways. One, you could tow it off from a long cable from your ship, and this is the way we did it in the old days. Now, more we're using autonomous vehicles. That's the removing of that cable to the surface vessel. So essentially, underwater drones, and that's just superior technology. It gives you much better imagery. It can find things, much smaller objects, and go very deep. And so that's the kind of technology that Ocean Infinity has pioneered for the deep ocean, and not just using one vehicle, but multiple vehicles, so they can cover lots of seabed very, very quickly. And I think they're aiming for an area where the previous two searches overlapped, where we had a combination of both AUV-based information and towed search. And we're getting the feeling that they've lost confidence in some of the imagery that they got from the towed search, where previously said the plane is not there, and maybe they want to go back over those areas that are problematic.
I appreciate it's not an exact science, because if it was, they probably would have found it by now. But what is likely to appear if they did sight the plane in somehow on the seabed? Would it be apparent? Would it be obvious that that's what they were looking at, or would there still be quite a bit of analysis to do of the sonar picture, if you like?
If the area that the plane has crashed, and this is where they're searching, is relatively flat, the water depth is deep, but the seabed is relatively flat, anywhere from about 4,300 to 4,800 meters. It will be apparent, readily apparent, almost immediately apparent that they've come across the wreckage, because everything we know about this plane, from the physical debris that's been recovered, is that it has fragmented when it hit the ocean surface. And that has been the case with almost every single wide body plane that has been lost over the years that we have found. And it leaves a very clear debris field on the seabed that is clearly man-made. It's not related to a shipwreck. It's different than geology, and it's readily apparent. And the only thing that really complicates that, if you're unlucky and it happens to crash in an area where the seabed is so rough, the geology is very rugged, it's almost mountainous terrain, and that is a complication. But it looks like the area that they're aiming for in this particular resumption of the search is an area that's relatively flat and featureless. And we just have to hope that whatever new analysis they're using, because there's no real new information, it's just people picking over the bones of what we already know and coming up with new ideas about where the plane may be. And this area appears to be relatively a good area to search.
David, can I put you on the spot just to finish off? What do you think is most likely happened to this flight? Do you think, as some speculate, that there was intention behind it falling out of the air, or do you think there was some sort of catastrophe with the aircraft, or a plausible accident, for example?
Yeah, well, I'm one very much against this speculation because there's people that already believe they know what happened, and for that reason, there's no reason for searching. But I'll bring people back to an example I was involved with. I led the search for Emiliano Sala's plane that crashed in the Channel. This is the Argentinian footballer who died with the pilot David Ibbotson. And until until his body was recovered, we didn't know that the cause of it was carbon monoxide in the cockpit. That wasn't on anybody's radar. And so until we find the plane, recover the black boxes, we don't know what happened to MH370.